Here we're going to run through a slightly shorter full body class. Plenty of strength work is included along with a focus on spine mobility. To begin, we've got our dumbwaiter and Cleopatra arm movements. So floating the hands up so the palms are towards the ceiling, and then gliding the hands apart towards the side walls, bringing them back to the centre. So breathing out as the hands go away, keeping those elbows in towards the body, breathing in as the hands come back in. So moving in time with your own breath, thinking about the shoulder area at the back of the body, so activating the muscles around the shoulder blade as the hands move out, and then relaxing them as the hands come back in. So nice gentle movement, great for warming up the shoulder area. Collarbones wide across the front of your chest, back of the neck nice and long. And then on our next movement, we're going to add the Cleopatra arm lengthening, so the hands come out to the side, arms lengthen and palms turn down to the floor. Bring the hands back in for the dumbwaiter part. So keeping that going, shoulder blades melting down the back towards the waist throughout the movement. Deep core muscles are active. We're thinking about the rib cage placement, so we want the rib cage to remain over the hips throughout. Using those deep core muscles, imagining that we've got springs attaching your bottom rib to your hip bones, are really going to help to keep that rib cage area stable as you take the arms away from the body. Keeping that breathing going. Got 2 more here before we move on to our next movement. So floating the arms down now. So for our upper back warm up, we're interlocking the fingers, pushing the palms away down towards the floor, bringing them up to chest height, following the hands with the face as we move, then bringing the hands up towards the ceiling. Hands come apart, circling them round, interlocking them again at the bottom of the movement. So again, really nice movement to warm up the upper back area. Nice mobility, so thinking about the shoulder blades coming apart as you push the hands away. Breathing throughout the movement. Core active to keep that neutral spine position. Knees are soft. Lovely, nice, smooth, flowing movement. We'll do one more movement here. And then floating the arms down. Moving on now to our foot series. So it's an excellent exercise for strengthening all the muscles around the ankle and the foot. So bring the hands onto the hips to begin, and then coming down into our half squat position, floating the heels up away from the floor, lengthening the legs, and then lowering the heels back down. Half squat, floating the heels up, lengthening the legs, lowering the heels down. So keeping that going, a really nice flowing movement, using the core to help you balance throughout. Shoulders are relaxed, so holding no tension there, thinking about the shoulder blades melting down the back towards the waist at the back of the body. Back of the neck nice and long. Keeping the breathing going throughout. Really nice. So we'll do 2 more in this direction, and then we're going to change the direction. So, okay, so changing direction now, so we're floating the heels up, coming up onto the toes, then bending the knees, lowering the heels down, back to standing before you then come up onto the toes, bend the knees, lower the heels. Standing position, up, bend the knees, heels down, back to standing. Lovely. So again, you're getting all the strengthening benefits around the ankle. It's also a great one for building up strength in your glutes, which are really important for stabilizing your hip area. Really nice one if you do lots of running, or any running, walking. We'll do 2 more in this direction. And then coming back to standing. We've got our mermaid in standing now. So softening the knees to begin, breathing in, and on the out breath, we're stretching the arm up towards the ceiling, palm away from the body, breathing in at the top of the movement, breathing out to come back down. Stretching over to the other side. Lovely. So breathing out as we lift the arm, breathing in to hold at the top point, breathing out as we come back down. Nice flowing movement. Really great exercise for your spine. Stretching out the middle and the lower back. Knees soft throughout, using your breathing. Really nice one to open up the chest area as well. If you've been doing lots of sitting at your desk, it can be a great one that you can squeeze in at any point in your day. Do 1 more to each side now. And then lowering the arms down. We've got our wide squats now, so stepping the feet wide apart, turning the toes out, so the hips are turning out as well. We want the knee to follow the direction of the toes in this one. Really important that the knees don't go over your toes as well. So that looks like a good setup position. So we're lowering down now, bending the knees, coming back up. So breathing in as we go down, breathing out as we push back up. So thinking about using the glute muscles to come back up. The weight is back in the heels, which can really help to activate your gluteal muscles. So we want to feel that they're active as well as the thigh muscles in this one. Using your breathing, core nice and active, collarbones wide across your chest, shoulders relaxing down at the back of the body. Just scanning through the body, thinking about all those postural points which can sometimes be forgotten when we're doing a more strengthening exercise. So we can bring the arms into the movement now if you want to. So arms come away as we go down. Lovely, we'll do 2 more here with the arms. And then we're going to hold at that lowest point which feels comfortable for you. So arms remain out and we're going to slowly start circling the arms forward. Speeding up the circles. Shoulders relaxed throughout. And then making the circles a bit bigger. Changing direction with the circles now, so small circles backwards. Keeping your breathing going really helps with this one. Making circles a bit bigger. Lovely, then holding the arms still as we pulse with the legs. So small pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering the arms down as we push back up to standing and then step the feet back together. Moving on to our full roll down now. So tucking the chin to the chest, as we roll down vertebrae by vertebrae as far as your hamstrings will allow you to go, softening the knees. Breathing in when you get to that point, breathing out. Roll back up, tucking under with the tailbone, using the abdominals as you lengthen back up, lengthening through the head. Nice breath in at the top, tucking the chin back to the chest as you go back down, tucking the tailbone under, stretching out the back of the body, and then rolling back up. Keeping that chin tucked into your chest till the last moment. Shoulders nice and relaxed, collarbones wide at the top of the movement. Making this your last one as you roll back down. Using your breathing, using the abdominals as you roll back up. And then just circling the shoulders backwards several times at the top of the movement. Relaxing the shoulders down. We've got our one leg circle movement now. So floating one leg up to the tabletop position to begin. And then we're circling from the hip. So circling the leg outwards. Moving from the hip, gradually making the circles a little bit bigger, and we're moving at the speed that you can control. So the guiding point on this is your pelvis staying level. If you start to move and you feel that your hips are rocking from side to side, then that's a sign your circle's a bit too big or you're moving your leg too fast. So breathing throughout. Thinking about the foot that is still on the mat pushing into the ground. So this isn't a case that it's only the leg that's moving is active. We want both legs to be active in this movement. Keeping the neutral spine position as well, so your core is active. Lovely, so changing direction now. So hips are nice and stable, back of the neck's nice and long. We can make the movement a bit quicker. So making the movement a bit quicker, so challenging your control makes the movement much more functional, so you're getting more benefits. Really nice mobility for your hip area as well. Last circle, and then lowering the foot back down to the mat. Breathing in on the out breath, straight over to the other side, so floating that leg up to the tabletop position, beginning your circles. So you take a moment to think how this side feels. Don't just assume that you're going to have that same control and same mobility on this side. Pushing through the foot that's on the mat. So thinking about that leg being active. Thinking about the hips, is the pelvis remaining quite stable? Breathing into the ribcage area, so while you're lying down, noticing about the ribcage expanding into the back of the mat behind you. And then changing direction with your circles. Nice smooth movements. Do 2 more circles on this side. And then lowering back down. Moving on to our one leg stretch now. So floating one leg up to tabletop, and then imagine we're pushing an imaginary button on the wall as we lengthen the leg, pushing it with the toes, bring the leg back to tabletop, lowering back down. So we can work on the one leg, or we can float both legs up to tabletop and then working with alternate legs. So lengthening the leg, pushing the button on the wall, changing to the other side. So the higher your button is on the wall, the easier the movement's going to be. So if you're wanting to challenge those abdominals a bit more, then think about pushing away a bit lower. Keeping the neutral spine throughout though. If you find that you're lengthening away and your lower back is arching away from the mat or flattening into the mat, then that's a sign that the movement's a bit hard, so you'd be better to work on one leg or push the button a bit higher on the wall. Collarbones nice and wide across your chest, no tension in your shoulder area, using your breathing throughout. So trying to time the breathing, that we're breathing out as we lengthen away, breathing in as we bring the leg back in. But not worrying too much about the breathing in this one, as you are working in both directions. Usually we try and time the breathing so that we're breathing out on the exertion part of the exercise. Lovely, nice controlled movement. So as well as being a really good strengthener for your abdominals, it's also a nice stretch for your hip flexor area. Do one more on each side. And then lowering one foot at a time back down to the mat. We've got our shoulder bridge movement now, so just bring the feet a little bit closer in towards your body, but keeping the feet hip distance apart. No support behind the head. Tilting the pelvis back and forth, so flatten the lower back slightly into the mat, and then coming back to neutral. The next time we flatten the lower back into the mat, activating your gluteal muscles as you start to peel the spine away from the mat. Imagine someone's pulling in your knees, opening up the front of the body as we come up into the shoulder bridge. Top position, breathing in as we breathe back out, lowering down vertebrae by vertebrae, back down to the mat. So there's the option to bring the arms in on the next one. So if you're bringing the arms in, as you start to peel the spine away from the mat, floating the arms up in time with the body. Lovely. Breathing in at the top of the movement, breathing out as we go back down. So the arms come down in time with the body ideally. Breathing in at the starting position, breathing out as we come back up with the arms again. So it's a great exercise for your spine mobility, stretching out the front of the hip, stretching out the front of the body, working the back of the body. Lovely. Now, the next time we come up, there's the option to make this more of a strength movement. So, coming back up to the top of your shoulder bridge movement, and then glutes active, holding at this top point as we lengthen one leg away, making sure those hips don't drop. So then we're pointing the toe as we move the leg up towards the ceiling, flexing the foot as we move it back down in line with the body. So imagine your foot as a paintbrush. You're painting the ceiling as you move the leg. So pointing the toe as we move up, flexing the foot as we move down. Core nice and active, glutes active, so we don't want the hips dropping down. Lovely. So do 2 more on this side. And then the next time the leg comes down in line with the body, bending the knee as we bring the foot back down. So then we're going to roll down vertebrae by vertebrae, back down to the mat. Resetting your position. So then rolling back up to the ski slope position. Weight going through the heels, glutes nice and active, and then lengthening the leg on the other side. Pointing the toe with that first brush stroke as we bring the leg up, and then flexing the foot as we bring the brush stroke back down. So another factor with this one is the length of your hamstrings. So you might not get as much mobility as this if you have got quite tight hamstrings. But as with any movement, we're moving within the range where you can keep your neutral spine position. So as soon as you feel that you're losing that, that's the point at which you should stop the leg movement, so move it to a smaller range. Also with this one, if you feel that the hips significantly drop down when you lift the leg, you'd be much better to continue with both feet on the floor, moving with lifting the arms as we did at the beginning of the exercise. We'll do 2 more movements on this side. Such a great all-rounder of the shoulder bridge, and then lowering back down. Vertebrae by vertebrae, back down to the mat, and then we're going to hug the knees in towards the chest, just rocking from side to side. A nice release for your lower back area. One foot at a time back down to your mat, back into your rest position. Coming down onto your side now for our side kick. So upper shoulder nice and relaxed. We've got a lift under our lower waist, so pushing that top hip away to get that feeling of lift under the lower waist. Top foot is flexed, and then on the out breath, lifting that top leg and lowering. So flexing the foot can help to activate your glute area. Keeping that going, nice smooth movements. Lifting the leg up to the point where you can while maintaining that gap under your lower waist. So you can keep at this level here, or if that's going quite well and you want a bit more of a challenge, then we're going to bring that lower leg in as well. So we're lifting both legs. We want the hand either on the hip or just the fingertips in front. For support, we don't want the full hand to be down, pushing into the hand, as that's going to take away from the strengthening that we're doing in our core area and the gluteal muscles. Lovely. Back of the neck remains nice and long. Bring the awareness again to that lift into the lower waist. Checking you're not squashing the mat with that area. And then again, if you want a bit more of a challenge, then we're going to hold the legs up the next time we come up. And then thinking about just moving that top leg forwards and back of the lower leg. Really subtle, small movement. Coming forward and then back behind the body. Upper shoulder relaxed. Using your breathing. Deep core muscles active. So that whole corset of muscles around your midsection is active in this position, trying to keep the waist away from the mat. Do 2 more kicks here. And then lowering one leg at a time back down to your mat. Next, we've got our spine stretch. So floating the arms up to chest height and holding on to each elbow. Want the arms just about in line with the shoulders. Breathing in to begin. As we breathe out, tucking the chin down towards your chest, pushing the elbows away from you, the shoulder blades rounding on your back. And then breathing in to hold, breathing out as you roll back up to the starting position. So shoulder blades come back together. Keeping that movement going, so tucking the chin down, shoulder blades round on the back, pushing those elbows away to stretch out that upper back area. Once you've held for a breath, rolling back up to the starting position. Back of the neck long, tucking the chin down, pushing the elbows away, keeping that neutral spine position throughout. So just pushing away to the point where before the lower back starts to arch or flatten. Lovely. Do 2 more movements here. Drawing those shoulder blades down towards the waist as you come back to the starting position, and then pushing them away as you roll outwards. Back up to the start position now, and relaxing the arms down so hands come back to the sides of the body. Isn't it? Yeah. So we've got the other side of our side kick now. So breathing in on the out breath, floating one leg up to hip height, foot flexed, and then lowering back down. So starting with the one leg lifts, scanning through the body. So back of the neck nice and long, collarbones wide across the chest. Do you reckon you've got that lift under your lower waist? And then being aware of that whole setup position throughout your movement. So if you lift the leg up and you feel that the lower waist is going to flatten down, just making that range of movement a bit smaller. So if that's going quite well, we can bring the second leg in, so changing it to a double leg lift. So both legs are coming up and down. Keeping the breathing going. Upper shoulder nice and relaxed. Don't want any tension throughout the body, apart from the muscles that we want to work, so deep core muscles, our abdominals, our obliques, our glute muscles are working in this as well. All those stabilizing muscles around your hip area. The next time we lift the legs again, there's the option to progress the movement, so holding the legs up and then with that small movement back and forth of the body with the upper leg. So the hand can be on the mat, but we ideally just want the fingertips resting on the mat for support, or you can have the hand up on the hip as well. Breathing throughout. Checking how that lower waist is doing. You can imagine that you've got something tiny under the lower waist that you don't want to squash. So just checking that we've not lost that feeling of lift in that area. Two more movements here. And then we're going to lower one foot at a time back down to the mat. Coming over onto our front for our breaststroke movement, so the forehead's resting on the hands. And then we're tilting the pelvis back, so tucking that tailbone under before we start in this one. Abdominals, keeping that tuck under in place. Breathing in to prepare. On the out breath, hovering the upper body away from the mat, lengthening your arms forward, sweeping them round in a breaststroke motion, stroking up the sides of the body, lengthening the arms. So trying to keep that tuck under throughout the movement. So we don't want the lower back to suddenly start arching a lot. You do find that happens, then placing the cushion underneath your hips can really help with that one. Lengthening the back of the neck remains long. Lovely. Such a great exercise for the upper back. Really good for the stabilizing postural muscles in your upper back area. Strengthening around the shoulder blades. Strengthening the deep neck flexors. We'll do two more movements here. And then lowering the arms back down, making that pillow under the forehead with the arms. Moving into our box position now for thread the needle. So the hands are just forward of the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're picking up one hand, sliding the back of the hand along the floor, and then bringing it back in. Changing to the other side, so the hands coming underneath the body, stretching across. Really great mobility exercise for your mid-back area. If you want to bring in a bit more of a stretch for the inner thigh as well, we can bring the leg into the movement. So lengthening one leg, and then we're picking up the same arm as the side that the leg is lengthened, threading that underneath the body. So stay on that side if you're using the legs to save you from changing the leg position from side to side. We'll do one more on this side, and then changing over so the opposite leg is lengthened. Lovely. Again, being conscious that you might have a difference in mobility side to side, so being really careful, just going to that point that feels right for you. Last one on this side, and then bring the arm back up and the leg in. Coming up to standing now for our spine twist. So bring the hands up in front of the chest, the palms together, thinking about the hips remaining forward throughout the movement. Taking a breath in, and on the out breath, we're thinking about rotating the upper body, leading from the rib towards the side wall. Holding for a breath in there, on the out breath, moving back to center. Keeping that going to the other side now, so nice flowing movement. We want the hips to stay facing forward. So as we go to the right, thinking about that, pushing slightly through that right hip to keep them both forward. And the same when we go to the left. Thinking about length through the crown of the head. Thinking about the collarbones being wide across the front of the chest. Knees are soft. So it's a really nice mobility exercise for the spine, particularly the mid-back area. Keeping the shoulder blades relaxing down the back throughout, so melting down towards the waist. We'll do one more to each side. Lovely. Last one to this side. And then lowering the hands down to the sides of the body. Taking the feet wider than hip distance apart now. And then breath in to begin, chin to chest as you start to roll forward, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming down so the hands come down towards the ground. And then stretching the right hand up towards the ceiling, following with the face. Can make the legs a bit wider if you can't reach down to the ground. Just coming into a position that's comfortable for you. Lovely, so alternating from side to side, breathing out as we stretch up, and then breathing in to come back down. So you can hold up for a breath, so you're following the arm that's moving with the face. So again, we're really getting some nice rotation into the mid-back area. Do one more to each side, keeping those knees soft. Lovely. Next time the hand comes down, thinking about starting to roll back up now. So chin to chest, tucking the tailbone under, engaging the abdominals to help you come back up. And then once we get to the top, we're just going to circle the shoulders back several times. Relaxing the shoulders down now as we step the feet back so they're hip distance apart. And then we're going to finish with a full roll down. So chin to chest, rolling down as far as the hamstrings allow you to go. Breathing in when we get to that point, breathing out as we roll back up. Again, circling the shoulders back several times and then relaxing them down away from the ears. And we're finished.